I am an Australian, and I did not fly in from Australia to visit this conference. I've lived and worked in Charlotte for many years. I've got a wife and 3 kids and 2 dogs. I do like driving fast, but I've never been to a NASCAR event. But I definitely have been to the Charlotte Motor Speedway and did some fast laps. So if you get a chance to do that, it is a real thrill. Definitely worthwhile. How do we do this? And there's a picture of me at the Speedway. I didn't realize the picture's up there, the next one. So what we wanted to cover today, I'll just take 10 minutes before I introduce Philip. Some of the things of what we've been doing in the US, particularly in the last 6 or 8 months, and how we're planning towards 2027. And we do plan many years ahead. So a lot of the decisions we're making today really do impact what we're going to do as a company in the next following 2 or 3 years, which is following the theme that Tabitha brought up in her presentation. Cloud is absolutely the focus, and Philip will talk about cloud in his presentation, so I won't go into the technical side, but it is a focus. It's the largest growth revenue for us in the US, and it is something that we are focusing on for our business partnerships. It is something that is going to make us successful or more successful in the mid and lower enterprise markets. And it has all the great capabilities of the CMS that we're all familiar with. And let me go to the next one. We're very excited in the US. Over the past 6 or 8 months, we have exceeded our revenue targets, and apologies if this gets a little salesy. I am a sales leader. We're also very excited about some of the accolades we're getting specific to the Americas, such as the recent leader badge for G2 for the fall, which we just received. A little on the organization here. We're very proud to say that we have global coverage 24/7, and a large element of that is from our HQ in Denmark, but we do have full-time staff based in the US office. We have first level support, we have second level support, we have a Black Ops person as well working in the office here, so we do have that full range of capabilities to address support issues and challenges. We also have a dedicated developer relations person based in the US who's been extremely successful and I think exceeded our expectations in his role. So anyone that's been working in the community, hopefully you're seeing some of the benefits. Of course, we've always had partners in the US, and for many years we really only had partners, but we are ramping up new partners, and we've developed a new program for that as well. Oh, go back. We also have capabilities for product and technical presentations, and I'll go into a little bit more about that. We have technical support for existing customers, but also for people that are looking to move to Umbraco, and we do spend a lot of time with people that are looking at migrations from alternate technologies. Recently, we also released online training, which is a huge benefit for people in the Americas who previously would have had to do training in European hours. So that allows you to do your Umbraco training within your own time. Anyone who's been working with Umbraco would be very familiar with this. It's on the website. We are the largest CMS, open source .NET CMS, and we have a large number of well-known clients. And here's some of our US clients as well. So let's go into a little bit more detail about what we're doing in North America. .NET is absolutely our secret weapon and the alignment with the Microsoft brand, and that's something that we're finding we're getting more and more throughput by focusing on that as a brand. We're also listening to our clients and our partners and to the community. And we have done a lot of webinars, conferences, working with the community. We have a very strong college partnership with UNC Charlotte, and a number of our employees actually came from that college. So that's a very close affiliation. We have memberships with NC Tech and others. And we also do what we're calling US handshake tours. And you know, America's a very large place, so what we do is we'll fly in some of the team to meet with partners and customers in person, which we're finding is also being tremendously successful. Awareness is by far the biggest hurdle for us in the US. Umbraco is extremely well known in other parts of the globe, so it remains our main focus for doing business in the US. And we will be investing more and more as we go into 2024 into different marketing campaigns and efforts. And of course, cloud that I already mentioned. And if anyone didn't get the theme from cloud and from Josh's great presentation, it really is where the market's going. And if you look at any of the statistics, looking at where the growth is going to be in the US and globally, it really is focused on cloud. So I talked a little bit about some of the capabilities that we have in the office. We do product demonstrations. So for anybody that's new to Umbraco that wants to get a 15 or a 30-minute view of what the product looks like, we can do that, absolutely. But we do a lot more than that. So we can provide full security questionnaires for complicated proposals. We can have technical discussions looking at various integrations. We also have paid consulting with architectural advising and code reviews. And lately, we've been doing a lot with migration planning and assisting people with moving to different versions, but also migrating from different platforms. I talked a little bit about having local customer success. One thing that we're very proud of is the Net Promoter Score and the overall customer satisfaction from our local support team and our global support team. And we've had a consistently very high Net Promoter Score, and also tracking closely the response times to incidents that are raised. We are implementing a new consolidated system based on intercom that has some AI capability, so we'll also expect some even greater benefits for that for clients. For everybody that uses American Express, we also recently launched the ability to pay for Umbraco products and add-ons using American Express. Another thing that we're constantly surprised that people are not aware of is that Umbraco does offer custom service solutions for super high SLA response for a number of supported sites and 24/7. So whether you are looking at a cloud implementation or an on-premise, we do have custom capabilities, and we do have a number of very large clients in the US that are long-term customers with this. So getting a little salesy, maybe a little bit of bragging here. We recently were listed on the G2 customer user satisfaction ratings, extremely high, and if not the leader in many of the categories. And perhaps some of the things that we're all very familiar with around ease of administration, ease of use, ease of setup, and the like. This goes way longer than I can fit on a slide, and we do have access for anybody that's interested in investigating this further. But it really does show that this is not a Mickey Mouse product. This is a very solid technology for any sort of business requirement. Another part of the G2 is the return on investment. Umbraco has a high ROI in usually less than 6 months, which is excellent for putting together business cases, and also a go-live, a very fast go-live. And these are things that are important to people as they're looking to invest more in projects. I mentioned that we've also launched a new partner program. So for our partners here, we have simplified and focused our program so that it benefits you with a credit system. We talked about that yesterday at the Partner Summit. We have a great variety of different types of partners in the US. And if you go to the website, you can go in there and you can look at different types of partners by skill set and sectors and get perhaps a greater understanding of where different partners can provide very deep skill sets or very specific vertical focused capabilities. And lastly, before I hand over to Philip, we do have a number of case studies that are really worth having a look at, that some of them are published through Umbraco and some of them through our partners directly, and would encourage you to go and search those out on the internet. With that, I might hand over to Philip. Thank you.
Thank you for the woo.
I gotcha.
It's always great to start a presentation with a woo. So Umbraco is the leading open source CMS in the Microsoft ecosystem, and that's a position that we're very proud of and that we fight to maintain. And this is very core to our positioning. It is an intuitive interface that's optimized for managing content. It has a media library. It lets you organize everything that you work with. We support multiple languages, multiple channels, whatever you expect from a content management. I know most of you already know this, but it's nice to start out with what we are and where we're going. We are, and have always been, okay, now the slides are out of sync. Can you make them, align with what I see? That would be very nice. So Umbraco is loved by editors. We are a very flexible platform. You can use Umbraco for basically anything that you would like. There's probably use cases where Umbraco is not the best fit, but today we're going to talk about why it's a great fit in many places. We're loved by editors. It's easy to work with content in Umbraco. It's intuitive. We see a lot of customers, partners, talking about how they don't need to train people, or the training needs are a lot smaller when they're building on top of Umbraco because of its intuitive user interface. And of course, we're loved by businesses because, as Adam just shared, the return on investment is great, the go live times are great, and of course, this is really, really important for you as a business. And then with Umbraco Cloud on top of that, you can focus on just adding value. At the Partner Summit yesterday, we had a great talk about Umbraco Cloud, and it was awesome to see that his points aligned very well with what I'm gonna say, that with Umbraco Cloud, we'll take care of all the boring parts, all the repetitive parts, all the things that just takes time, so you can save time, so you can be more efficient, so you can, either lower your price and win more orders, or you can build a greater product for the same price. So you can focus on the user experience for your customers, because at the end of the day, that's where their return on investment comes from. Umbraco Cloud is built on Azure, it's built with Cloudflare, it has a global reach. We have regions all across the world, and with Cloudflare on top of that as a CDN, no matter where your users are, there's always a close connection to the website. It's very easy to deploy code. You can move from environments to the next, and it is just an overall great experience that saves you time and allows you to add value for the customer. So with Umbraco, we're thinking about it like this, and we're out of sync again. With Umbraco, we want you to build like you want to build, and that means it should be fast to get started. It should be easy. You should get a lot out of the box, but not more than you need. You should be able to customize anything you'd like, do the integrations that you need, and do it in the way that you prefer, with your architecture, with your tools, with your processes, however you want, so that you can achieve the goals that are important for you. This is what Umbraco is all about. building how you want to build. So the main themes for 2023 and 2024, headless is of course a big thing and has been for a few years. We now have headless in all of our products, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Sustainability is a big topic that we hear more and more in tenders when people ask us about it. This is something that is growing, maybe in Europe even more than over here, but I'm sure that it'll be a big thing over here as well. We think about sustainability a lot when we design our processes, but also when we run our company and when we scale it. And talking about scale, that is the next thing. It's a big theme for us, of course. As we scale the business, making sure that we do it in a way that's right for us, that's right for you. And for us, that means, from a product perspective, that means we build features for that upper mid-market where we see ourselves fit in. So Umbraco U.S has a lot of users all over the world in pretty much all sectors and pretty much all sizes of companies. So we have the small hairdresser around the corner, the coffee shop or something like that. But when we design new features, when we think about what Umbraco should be able to do, we think about those larger sites, those sites for your Fortune 500 company or maybe Fortune 5000 company. But bigger projects that has a lot of editors, has a lot of content. We want to make sure that we're a great fit for that as well as for the mom and pop shop. And of course, something that's always been central to who we are and how we work is the community, working with the community and getting feedback from all of you, what you need, what customers are telling you, why you sometimes don't win an order based on Umbraco. It's really important that we get this feedback so we can make sure that we win the next one. But talking a little bit about headless, I found this great quote which basically says that headless is big for everyone, and for those where it's not, it's gonna be. So if you're not already thinking about headless, you should think about headless in all the projects that you do. Maybe it's not headless in the first step, but maybe step 2 will be. So make sure that you find a product that you invest in that will give you headless capabilities so that you're able to grow and expand from there. And of course, headless, it comes down to just APIs, APIs for everything, everywhere. We've been building on a new management APIs for Umbraco, and I just put this up here just to overwhelm you with how many APIs we already have for our products, and we are expanding this in a way where we want the APIs to align no matter if you're using Umbraco Cloud or if you're using Umbraco CMS or Umbraco Commerce or any of the products. The APIs should feel consistent. They should feel like it makes sense. If you know how to do it one place, you know how to do it everywhere. And then a little bit about carbon and we're out of sync again. A little bit about carbon emissions and sustainability. For us, we've been doing a lot of work with how we work with sustainability as a company. And it basically boils down to saying, whenever we have an emission, let's see if we can cut it. If we can't, let's see if we can make it green. And if we can't make it green, if we're not in control over energy sources or something like that, then at least we will offset the emission that we're responsible for. So we made an impact report last year. You can download it if you scan this QR code or go to this URL. And this tells you all of the initiatives that we're doing and how we're doing on it. And this is really, really core to what we do. Also, when we talk about product development, because of course, the next thing is how do we make sure that Umbraco Cloud runs in the most sustainable way possible. As I said, cloud runs on top of Azure and Cloudflare primarily, and those two we're fortunate enough that they are also thinking a lot about sustainability. They claim to be carbon net neutral, and that's great. Of course, we want them to eventually be really neutral, so it's not all about offsetting, but we want to get the emissions out of the way. But that's not where we stop. We want to make sure that we build cloud is in as efficient a way as possible, so that we have as few CPU cycles as possible. We need as little power as possible, so we at the end of the day have as little emissions as possible. So that's what we're doing for it. And then we want you to be able to also build great websites and performant and efficient and carbon efficient websites in the cloud. So we've been working on this. This is still just a UX prototype, but we're working on a mission report from inside of the cloud portal, where from each environment, for each project, you can see how much emission is coming from this based on the traffic to the project and all the CPU cycles from the virtual machine. So this is super central to us, because we think a lot of this starts with awareness. We all need to be aware. How are we doing? So putting up numbers like, how are we doing compared to last week? Like, what's the trend? And how are we doing compared to other websites? This will hopefully, make us all aware that we can make a difference and help you spot when you've made a change that actually affects your performance or your sustainability efforts in the wrong way. So we're really happy to work on this. This is still a little bit away before we launch it in the cloud portal, but we've started the work, and I'm sure it'll be really great, and I can't wait to launch this. Talking about a few other features before we hand it over to the question time, I want to talk about something that's coming to cloud and to Umbraco over the next 6, 12, 18 months. Starting with flexible environments. In the cloud today, we have a linear approach between environments, which is great in a lot of scenarios. But going back to building how you want to build, that might not always be how you want to build. Maybe you want to have feature branches, maybe you want to have QA branches that have environments where you can test stuff, or where you can work on a bigger feature and still ship smaller updates in the meantime. So all of these environments you'll be able to create from your own GitHub, or from your own Git repository as you can, and not only put more into the horizontal thing, but also have the more environments on the vertical. And of course, all of these environments, you can choose whether they should be dedicated environments or they should be on shared plans, depending on your needs. That brings me to load balancing, also a feature that we really want to bring to cloud. Of course, sometimes you have a lot of visitors, and you would want to have make sure that you can handle all of them fast and efficient. Sometimes that means spreading the load over more machines. We'll do this in a few steps probably. And the first step will just be in the cloud portal. You choose how many instances you want of a particular website, and we'll do all the hard parts of making sure that they align and they use the same database and that everything's set up correctly. In the second step, we'll allow you to define minimum and maximum instances, and we'll automatically scale up and down based on the actual needs. And in step 3, we want to do that across regions as well, so that you can leverage the fact that we have regions all across the world, so that for your global audience, they will be connected to a cloud region that's close to where they are. All of this is, optimizing for large sites, as I was saying. We're looking for that upper mid-market, lower enterprise when we talk about new features. So these are both examples of things that fit into that category. And other than that, we see a lot of websites today that has, in Umbraco, that has a huge amount of content. And with the way Umbraco is built today, sometimes it takes a little while to start up your environments. That's typically not a big problem, but we want to make it more efficient, and we want you to be more in control. So we're working on reworking how the caching works, so that we can make it much smaller and do much more on demand instead. So for those websites where you have maybe hundreds of thousands of content nodes in your project, this will be a lot faster to start up. The memory pressure will be a lot smaller, and overall, it's just going to be a better experience for everybody. Then we want to further expand on the block. As you know, the block is a UI component that editors work with, where you can put blocks in a grid layout or in a stack layout. and work with content in a way that visually represents what the user will actually see. We want to expand on this. We think this is a really great user experience and a great way for content editors to work with content, but we want to take it the next step. We want to make it easier for you to reuse content between blocks, so reuse blocks between pages or even between the different layouts. We want you to be able to have variations on a block level so that if you have a big grid with lots of content that are the same, but in a multilingual setup, you can choose to not only vary on the entire grid, but also just vary on a specific block and say everything's the same except for this block, which is in Danish is this one instead, or is this color instead, or this whatever. Lots of cool things coming. The first thing that we're bringing to the blog is being able to use it inside of the rich text editor for those scenarios where you want to have some kind of a small component that's actually inside of your copy, inside of your text. Maybe you want a call to action button that looks a certain way or has specific properties or something like that you want to use inside of a rich text editor. That's actually something the team's working on right now. So lots of cool stuff. All making it easier for you to work, for the editors to work. You, as a developer, you have the control. You can choose exactly how flexible it should be for the editor, and the editor gets a great experience from this. This brings me to the marketplace, which is also a great example of saving you time, making it easier for you to close those deals, because this shows off a lot of integrations, a lot of add-ons on top of Umbraco that are easy and available for you. We launched the marketplace less than a year ago, and already we have more than 280 different packages or add-ons in here, so that for most scenarios, your customers, when they are doing their due diligence on your projects and searching for Umbraco and HubSpot or Umbraco and Dynamics or Commerce Tools or whatever platforms they're looking at, they will find our marketplace and see that there's already integrations existing, proving your point that you can integrate Umbraco with anything. So we really like the marketplace and how it's taking off, and we're really excited to see this. Of course, in here there's also some commercial add-ons from ourselves. Most of you may know our forms builder that we've had for a long time, and that's free and included in cloud. But we also have some other add-ons that we've been adding over the last couple of years. We have a workflow engine for those scenarios where you want to have content approval workflows or like content review workflows. We're even working on being able to have multiple scheduled drafts, so you can say this draft goes live on this date, and then on this date this next draft goes live. It's a feature that we're working on, and it's coming to workflow probably next year. And earlier this year, we acquired a small little company to get this amazing add-on to Umbraco that we now call Umbraco Commerce. So this is sell how you want to sell, and it gives you all the flexibility that you expect from Umbraco. So everything is pluggable, there's great documentation, great APIs, it's fully headless, and it comes with a catalog already of payment providers and all of this. So it's really easy for you to get started, and it starts at $230 a month. So it's really easy for you to get started to building commerce on top of Umbraco. So before we turn it over to questions, there's a QR code if you want to see the full roadmap. There's a lot on here that I didn't cover just because of time. But as Kim said, like we really care that Umbraco is open source. It's really important for us. We like to say that open source is not about democracy. It's not about giving away the keys to the kingdom. It's about being transparent about what we're doing. We want to be as transparent as we possibly can about our intentions, what we're working on, why we're working on it. And we do this with the community, both very unorganized, but also in an organized way with something we call community teams. This is community people from all over the world that apply to be part of a formalized team that works on something to benefit the greater Umbraco project. So this can be a team that works on making sure that Umbraco is super accessible, or that we think about diversity and inclusion in the right way in whatever we do. We also recently launched a sustainability community team that helps us work on these reports, that helps us make sure that we give you best practices for how to build sustainable websites. So with Umbraco, your editors will shine, your developers will be efficient, and you can sleep well at night. We do all of this together with you. Thank you much for listening. And then, Heather, I think it's over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming today. And we are really interested to hear your questions, first of all, for our esteemed panelists here. So if anyone here in the audience live would like to ask a question, we have Steffi someplace. Oh, she's up in the top. She's got a microphone. So just stand up, wave your arms, let her see you. She would love to come over and let you have the opportunity to speak. Additionally, if you're online and watching live, we do have Trina here, who is going to be accepting those live questions and asking them to the panelists. So everyone, put your thinking hats on, come up with your questions. And unless there's anyone who's ready to start right now, Trina, do you have any online yet? Okay, so then we will just start with something else. So I'll ask you guys all, and maybe you can all talk about this a little bit. What do you see as the most important part of the Umbraco brand to bring to the United States? Like, what part is going to be the most impactful for growth?
Oh, that's you.
Oh.
No, you guys can talk about this too.
Yeah, I think, yeah, thanks, Heather. Really, for me, having joined Umbraco late last year and having been part of the organization for almost a year now, it's definitely a very unique community, and even as an open source company, I think is unique. So to me, that is the secret sauce, if you like. So that working for a Danish company on its own is probably unique, but then the company is unique, and the open source and the community and the background. So to me, that's got to be the area you don't touch, if that makes sense.
And how do you see things like the community helping your US market?
There's at least two ways into increasing the brand awareness of Umbraco in the US. We are fully aware that compared to other key markets, we don't have the same brand awareness here in the US as we have, say, in UK. So we are doing tons of marketing activities directed towards end clients, the CMOs out there. The D2 initiative with reviews is part of that. We have done events getting the brand out in front of the decision makers at the end client. So that's part of the thing we do on branding and marketing, where the community, the developer community comes in is we quite invest, as Adam also touched upon, getting the word out about Umbraco, the .NET technology, universities, boot camps, and other meetups in and around the country, expanding the reach of Umbraco, training developers in using Umbraco. So we actually do. There's two main channels. That's what I've just described. Through the developers. Using, should they work at an agency, we would like them to be inspired by Umbraco and be a Trojan horse, getting Umbraco into to the agency. And then we do classic marketing and communication around this. We do see that I've spoken with a number of partners over the last couple of days, and and some actually see that they are getting questions and are being asked to a higher degree than before about Umbraco on this. It will be a never-ending job for us in increasing awareness on Umbraco, but that's the two channels that we currently, our two main channels we're using.
And you guys mentioned some of the initiatives you have with community teams around sustainability and DEI, and also the climate impact report, things like that. How are you guys thinking about these global issues internally? Like, how is that really driving your decision making?
Do you want to?
Anybody?
Sure. Well, I mean, sustainability is probably the one that is closest to my heart. I think it is. I mean, it's just really important for me that we do this in a good way. That as we grow, we make the planet a better place and not a worse off place. We think about this in pretty much everything we do. I mean, of course, for me, it's a lot about product development and how we build our products. And as I was saying in my presentation, like this is really important to like when we design a new feature, we think about like what does this mean for the efficiency, or what does this mean for for emissions at the end of the day. And I mean, then we've talked about it would be fun to make automatic tree planting part of the cloud portal or something like that. That would be a fun feature to build. Maybe later we'll build that.
I believe for a long time, many companies have been involved in and assuming some sort of responsibility for the outside world, whether in the earlier days have been philanthropy, classic CSR policy, and stuff like that. I like to believe that we are come even further, where taking considerations to the environment, D&I, accessibility, stuff like that into consideration. It's not something you do to be a do-gooder, but because it's actually good for business.
Yes.
We have clients and customers in 100 different countries using of any size, any usage of Umbraco, and if we want to continue to be relevant for that variety, that diverse lineup of customer partners, we need to be diverse in our own lineup. We need to have diverse workforce. We need to have diverse input in order to stay relevant, and that's perfectly aligned. The general push on diversity and inclusion is perfectly aligned with our business goals. The same goes with sustainability. We believe that we can lead the industry by being the most sustainable product service available. And we see more tenders, more RFPs asking for considerations on sustainability, and I mean, shortly it will be a requirement to do so. So we just get started and try to get a head start, so we are ready when it becomes a requirement. That's also why we did the impact report, because I mean it's not a legal requirement in EU yet, but it will be in 4 years, and let's get going.
Yeah, it's super nice when, just like we talked about in the beginning with open source and why we're open source, it's super nice when we can do what we believe is right, and then it's also good for business.
Did you want to add anything to that one?
No, I think that.
I've learned this from Adam.
We do have a question from an online attendee. Is Umbraco heading to DXP direction, all the marketing parts that exist in Kintigo, Sitecore, and other competitors?
That's you, Philip.
Yes. So I think I actually brought a slide that shows this.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yes, yes, yes. This one. So when we talk about DXP or the digital experience platform, we kind of think of it as there's two different approaches to this. The traditional DXP that we refer to as the platform DXP, where everything lives inside of the same platform, is you may know this from your suites out there, where you choose one vendor that gives you everything, or you go completely to the other side, where everything is composable and everything is microservices or like specific things that just does one thing really well. And what we see in reality is that most projects are some kind of hybrid of those two. So when we talk about what products we have and what products we should have, it's important for us that we think about them as add-ons to Umbraco. And you can choose to add on inside of Umbraco or outside of Umbraco, and you can choose to use the ones that are from Umbraco, or you can choose third parties. We want to make sure that whichever way you prefer, you get the best one. You get the one that fits you the best, and Umbraco is still a great fit for you. So that was the kind of long answer to the question. But I think like there's multiple ways to look at this, and we want to make sure that whether you want stuff to be inside of your Umbraco installation and work on it, or outside, or a combination of the two, you can work with Umbraco. So this is also why, like, a lot of the headless stuff I talked about, APIs everywhere, this is like building blocks towards this, right? In order for us to be composable, to work in a setup where everything is headless, of course, Umbraco needs to be headless.
And how do you guys see the ecosystem surrounding all of these things, enmeshing with Umbraco or outside of Umbraco? Is that something that you're working actively to encourage, more ecosystem, more integration points, things like that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody, or at least most people here, will probably have seen the growing MarTech, scenario for each year, where we have, thousands and thousands of integrations, or thousands and thousands of, platforms doing some specific things. I mean, it's not realistic that we build 10,000 new integrations every year. So, I mean, again, we're coming back to Umbraco is open. There's APIs for everything. Whether you want to use our data and pull it into a different system, or you want to pull some data from a different system into Umbraco, all that should be possible. Then there's the bigger ones. When we talk about integrations, where it's really important for you as a partner or as a client to be able to integrate with this, whether that's your Dynamics or your Salesforce or something like that. I think we're still at a scale with Umbraco where it's probably us that needs to build that integration rather than Salesforce building the Umbraco integration. So we'll do that. So we have a team that works on the important integrations. So if you have something that you think is missing from that perspective, please come talk to me. Or if you're online, reach out on Twitter or whatever, email. X, of course. Yeah, there's tons of opportunities. We're looking at this. We think there's going to be lots of companies that want to build integrations to Umbraco. And I actually also think there might be a business case for some of you who are partners, or who are working with Umbraco, who's already built an integration for something. Put that on our marketplace, give it away for free, or you can even charge for it. Put it in the marketplace and put on your own license. Make a buck whenever people use your integration, and it makes us all better, right?
Did you want to say anything about that? Heather.
Am I turned on? Yes. I have a question from Aaron.
Yep. Hi, so I'm one of those potential vendors that's vetting the CMS right now. So I've been asking the community a lot of questions over the last day or two. One of the biggest questions that I have that I haven't really gotten a solidified answer that I'm hoping being from you guys, being from HQ, are able to answer. The CMS that we're actively using has notoriously self-imploded, is the best way to describe it. because of a cloud implementation. So basically corporate got greedy, decided to double down on their cloud, and as a byproduct, ignore their community. So while you are very excited with your slides up there,
Sorry. I'm not pushing it.
I'm really hoping that you guys can kind of speak to the question at hand of maintaining the investment in the community. And that's going to kind of come with a little bit of an asterisk and a caveat for, you know, the people that are online watching, that over the last couple of days have been fantastic. The community here has been able to answer so many of my questions and really provide a sense of ease to looking to invest into another CMS like this. But I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on that.
That's our tagline is the friendly CMS, and that goes for both how we would like the product, our services to be, that we don't get in your way. It's how we would like the community, the ecosystem to behave, being open, welcoming, sharing knowledge, facilitate cooperation, and it's also how we would like to run our business, be friendly, be open, say things as they are, and if you are in a tight position, if we can help you, we want to help you. That's definitely part of our DNA. And as to continue investing in community activities, that's key to our business. It's key for us to through the community teams to get the feedback needed in order for us to stay relevant across the board. 5 years ago, it was only the open source, the core part of the CMS that engaged with community. But as you saw on the list Philip showed, I mean, headless, that's a paid offering, but we have both developers but also partners actually investing time into giving us this feedback. And our job is to facilitate that, invite people into the room, invite people to the table. It's not a given that we follow the advice, but for starters, we listen and we reason why we are doing this and that. So that's super key to us, and we want to continue doing that going forward.
So then with that going forward, you anticipate keeping the cloud infrastructure and the open source community infrastructure synonymous?
Yes.
You don't envision creating cloud-specific features?
Yeah, I believe there's things we do on our paid services, paid products, spill over in the open source and vice versa. So actually see it as a symbiosis, is that the word? Between the paid and the non-paid. What we learn one place, we transfer and vice versa.
Yeah, so of course, I mean, so the ambition of cloud is to make it easy for you to do something. And sometimes that is, you know, setting up infrastructure or doing something like that. And that's of course not something we can put into the open source product because, yeah. So there might be features in the cloud that are cloud only because of that, because they are, you know, there are more implementation than they're actually set up. But yes, the intention is, and what we've seen so far is that a lot of times they do work together in that symbiotic relationship. Like when we wanted to add like a single sign-in functionality to cloud, so when you were logged into the cloud portal, you were automatically logged into your Umbraco back office as well. This was something that the cloud team actually worked on and implemented. And then when they realized that we actually was missing some things in the CMS, they contributed back to the CMS and made sure that the APIs or whatever, the missing parts were actually put back into the open source product.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
We have another question from an online attendee. The term content managed website is synonymous with the product WordPress, whether we like it or not. Is this a major hurdle to growth in the United States? If so, how do you intend to overcome that? Is there a desire to reach a broader spectrum of users outside of web agencies and enterprises?
Wow.
To be honest, I think WordPress is definitely a player out there, and of course, I mean, if you look at market size, they are by far the biggest player. But to be honest, we very rarely meet WordPress in competition. Typically, we compete in a different market than WordPress. I think a lot of times what we meet are the more enterprisey systems where we compete on other things. I think WordPress has a lot of cool stuff. They're doing a lot of stuff right, but they're also limited in some capacities where I think we outright beat them. So yeah, I think it's
that's one element, and the other element is are you PHP or are you .NET?
Yeah.
And we know partners, clients who doesn't want to switch from PHP to .NET and vice versa. So for now we are concentrating on the .NET areas.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions from the live audience?
Because I think we have room for one more. Yes.
You guys talked a little bit about how you're taking a composable approach, which is a little bit maybe unique among your competitors in the .NET space. Can you talk a little about how how you arrived at that strategy and what you see as the advantage?
There's two answers. There's a truthful answer, and then there's a non-truthful answer. The truthful answer, the non-truthful answer is that because it's the right strategy. We have never been in a position where we had the funds and the funding to go down that route of making a platform DXP. So you could argue that out of necessity we had to stay true to what we do best, and that is CMS. And then, I mean, it's a long time ago we realized that the content is not enough, and you need interactions and transactions. Hence, the openness, the APIs, and stuff like that. 7 years ago, if we have had $10 million, would we have gone down the sweet way? I don't know. But I kind of like that when you use Umbraco, when you buy Umbraco, you know what you're getting. You're getting a CMS. It's primarily, if not only used for CMS. You don't get a machine with 7 different functionalities, whereof some of them are good and some of them are not so good. So we did it because it was the right strategy.
We've always talked about best of breed, right? And I think this aligns very well with that. Where even if we have even as I said, like we have a commerce offering out there, but if that's not the right commerce offering for you, then you go with something else, and you can still work with Umbraco, and it'll still be great.
Yeah, let the best product win.
Yeah.
There was a question up here.
Hi, Philip. When you spoke about the enterprise cloud product, you alluded to high availability. Is disaster recovery going to be part of that?
In some form, yes. The honest answer, now that we're speaking in all honesty, is I don't really know exactly yet how. So of course, there's disaster recovery built into Azure and Cloudflare, and that will probably be the foundation for what we do. But how exactly it'll be is uncertain yet. But I mean, we know, and we do have backups, and we do all of that stuff, so we can recover from basically any incident that should occur today.
Well, great. Thanks so much, everyone, for being with us and sharing your questions. And let's just give like a final round of applause to our panel here.